Well, Matt, your AI skills have really improved a lot, dude.
Appreciate it.
That Arc trailer you put out there, like for a minute, I was like, wow, the graphics for Arc really, really got good there. And then I started to notice a few things. You kind of slipped up with your prompts a little bit, I noticed. And
Yeah.
you let some of the clips run a little too long, and the AI didn't quite know what to do. But I mean, would they pay you a couple $100 for that? It's not bad for a few $100.
But I am getting better, so I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Now, for all of you listeners out there, I have to really commend Level Cap for this introduction because I literally just showed him that trailer 5 seconds before the stream started, and then he just weaves it in like the master that he is, right on into the very beginning of the podcast. So I got to give a tip of the hat to you, sir. That's
It has
impressive.
nothing to do with the fact that I didn't have an intro queued up before that. And I was like, I need something. Matt.
Coming in clutch.
Yeah, the AI, whatever, con artist or something. It feels kind of like a con, doesn't it? Like, okay, so here's the situation. First of all, welcome to the Level With Me podcast, everybody. Thank you for joining us on Wednesdays and on Monday. If you are a Patreon supporter, you can check out the description for that. But the thing that is just like, okay, everybody's seen the weird AI videos online. They're usually weird because they hold up for like half a second until somebody's hand turns into a foot or something, and then you're like, what is happening here? Somebody's face morphs into another person and then back again, and you're like, okay, AI is freaking out. So it's never seemed ready for prime time, like by any stretch. Like maybe you could get away with a few seconds of footage here or there lumped in with actual footage of something else, and somebody might not notice. But the Arc Survival Aquatica, is that what it is? Aquatic?
Something water.
Update? I don't know. I don't really follow Arc Survival because it's all like, it's like filled with hackers or something, isn't it? But
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. But they showed off their new trailer at GDC, I believe. And the trailer looks to be like 80, if not 90% CG or AI.
It starts off like what you would assume an Arc trailer would, where it's like, okay, I recognize it. They got the weird like gem in their arm, and then all of a sudden it's just like, holy cow, what is happening right now? This is a fever dream.
Yeah. So yeah, it quickly cuts from dude standing on the beach looking like a relatively straightforward FPS style video game to underwater, and things start morphing a bit. There's a guy that launches a spear gun, but then the spear is like, it just doesn't move in the water and transforms. There's a shot of a guy swimming and his feet kind of keep turning into flippers and then back into feet. There's a really lame shot of like an octopus coming out of some water, but it's like super, it just morphs, the water like morphs into the octopus. It looks really basically all the telltale signs of bad AI footage are there, yet it's in a promotional trailer for Arc, their new update, whatever they're coming out with. And just before the podcast, I was looking it up, and there's a headline that says game devs didn't know that AI generated trailer was about to launch at GDC. How disappointing, dude, if you've been working away on like this new content and you're like, oh, I can't wait to show this off to the fans. And then marketing is like, hey guys, Todd from marketing.
I don't know why they posted it at all though. Like they must have been like right up on a deadline. They're like, we have to have something, nothing's prepared. But if it's for GDC, you'd think like, hey, maybe we should spend some time to make sure that we've got a nice trailer if we need a trailer, and not just use an AI video last second.
I guarantee you that was an executive's decision who was not familiar with just how widely recognizable AI footage is.
Maybe.
I don't know. Like, it seems insane to me because, like, speaking as somebody trying to do a small scale game, I wouldn't do that for a small game. You would kill your reputation immediately. If you're like, here's my new game, guys. And then everybody's like, all of that footage is AI generated. This is a scam, obviously. Arc is a real game. People have been playing it for a long time. It's got real tech behind it. So why would you just sully your name like that. It's insane. Total insanity.
It was pretty wild. So I thought I'd share.
Yeah. I wonder if they were like, oh my God, we got the slot at GDC, or they like last minute got it and were like, we don't have a trailer ready. And the trailer team was like, we can't put this together in time, guys. You don't have enough time. And then the exec was like, that's it. I'm phoning up the AI team. They'll do
the
it.
AI button.
Yeah. And they hired some like AI third party team or whatever. And they're like, just make it look like Ark Survival. It's underwater. There's some octopuses and like weird whale things. Guys swim around and stuff. What a disaster.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah. What a weird game. I know that those games have gone through problems because people who are really into it, I hear them talk about it and they're just nothing but really upset with like the state of like cheaters and hacking and all this other stuff. And, you know, not always.
I don't really follow it. So I believe you though.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't speak to it in much detail other than just hearing a lot of people upset about the state of the game and feeling like the company has not taken care of it. So
they have been known to kind of cash grab a lot and not address the core issues. I do know that.
Yeah.
Like being in early access and releasing a DLC for a game that isn't fully in 1.0 yet. Stuff like that.
Yeah. Ah, come on, man. You got to get that.
You know, it's still, yeah.
Those early access fans need their
bad.
content. Yeah. It's, isn't that weird though, that like early access is just kind of releasing a DLC for a game in early access becoming a thing all of a sudden. You're like, okay, we're just skipping the polish phase altogether. Like,
yeah,
they've just figured out that they can make their money without doing the game polish phase, which is insane.
Yep.
So what you been playing, man?
A lot of Assassin's Creed Shadows because it just came out. Yeah. And it's not bad. It's not bad.
Now,
according to the internet, it's either the worst or best thing because apparently there's no middle ground anywhere in here.
Yeah.
It's all either really good or really bad, but yeah.
Has there been a Ubisoft release in like the past 5 years that hasn't been mired in controversy? Like everything they do is somehow controversial. I mean, maybe the latest Rainbow Six update, you know, that one seemed to go over generally well.
Yeah. Siege is doing really well right now in terms of players, according to Steam. So that's cool.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's really strange because you have people online. I don't think they're even playing the game.
Sure.
On both camps where you have some people. Well, okay. You've got some people that are really wanting it to be successful because they like Assassin's Creed and they like Ubisoft games and they want to see more. And so, of course, they've got a little bit more invested, I think, in rooting and wanting to like see, oh, it's doing great. But then you have this other crowd who are just like straight up, everything is the worst. It's all bad. And they're just trying to, you know, belittle it, which, I mean, fine, it's fair. But the best example of this was they just released that 2 million players are playing Assassin's Creed Shadows. They're up to 2 million players. And then the perfect illustration of this point.
Players?
Exactly. So then people are like, oh, no. It's not sales. This isn't a success for them. It's not sales. It's players, which means it could be their Ubisoft Plus subscribers. Okay. It's like, is that really like, you don't care. Like, it's to the point where it's like, you're trying to suit a narrative of, I want this to fail. I want it to be bad. So I want it to not sell much. So you're trying to do everything you can to fit that narrative. And then the other side who's like, oh no, it's 2 million players. See, you're wrong. It's clearly great. And they're doing well, but it's like, no, it's also players. So there's like a middle ground.
Yeah. So you're liking it, or is it just another Assassin's Creed game?
It is another Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah.
It is.
But some of them have been actually pretty good. Like I've been surprised that, what was the Viking one?
Valhalla. I never played Valhalla.
Yeah. But they kind of mixed it up enough where you're like, the pacing and the style and some of the mechanics were different enough where you're like, I didn't like the last one, but this one's actually pretty fun. You know, it's enjoyable to play through. Yeah.
Ubisoft is in a tough space because it's a big franchise and there are fans that love it. And if you start deviating and changing the formula too much, like people are going to be upset, right?
Yeah.
So it still fits the formula. They have added, to my understanding, a decent amount of like good stealth options though. I love the ability to be able to stealth in this game, and the ways that you can go about and tackle challenges has been decent. It does get a bit repetitive, like pretty much all Assassin's Creeds do. But they do give you some options. If you want to go full stealth and guaranteed assassinations, there is a button in the settings that you can turn on that's just guaranteed. So doesn't matter how many health bars they have. It is an RPG. The newer ones have gone that direction where you got to level up. You need to put skills. You need to, so there's like a skill tree. One skill tree revolves around the assassination stuff, but you can literally just completely bypass that by turning that button on. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what kind of health they have, how many bars they have. You go for an assassination, they will always die.
Yeah.
So
do you,
you
like,
can turn that on if you want.
Are you doing that way or no?
No, I'm just sticking with like the base game.
Yeah, because it is weird when you get up behind them and then you cut their throat with a knife and they're like, and then they turn around and you have a sword fight.
Oh man! And then they're like super chatted out and they just don't die. Yeah.
You're like, what do you have, neck armor, dude? Come on, like this is silly. Is your aorta just like beefed up?
It's got a sick neck.
I can see the appeal of that, but also it seems like if the game's designed for you to have a boss fight and you just forego it by just sneaking up behind the dude.
Yeah. The standout is definitely the graphics. The game is absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
It is gorgeous. And what's cool is they've got weather and seasons and it's constantly changing. So you'll start off in like spring and then months will go by in the game, which happens pretty quick. And all of a sudden it'll be winter and there'll be snow on the ground. But the thing is it'll be a light snow. And then you'll get further along in winter and it will start to creep down. You'll literally see like it creeping down the mountain. You'll be like on a big perch and be like, oh, the snow it has like a snow line. And then by the end, like in the middle of winter, everything is covered in snow. It's like, damn, like this technology
really
is
cool.
really impressive. Yeah. It doesn't change the gameplay too much. If you go into deep snow, it'll slow you down. If you try to sprint on a frozen lake, and they will freeze.
Do you get like cold?
And stuff
Can
like that.
you like take cold damage or something?
No, there isn't like a survival mechanic in that respect. But you will slip on ice stuff, but it's small stuff, and you can't go under the water.
Will it freeze a lake and then you can get across it to like some place you couldn't get to before or something?
No.
That missed opportunity.
That would be cool, but you can get into a boat and just like kind of take off. The map is humongous. That's actually one critique I have, is that it's cool because it is so large, but at the same time it's like, God damn, this thing is just massive. You're just kind of traveling a lot to get to these places. It's well populated, and you'll go into a city and they're huge and there's a bunch of people wandering around. You can't really interact with them, but at the same time, you can't really interact with money people. And like when you're going to a city, you're not just talking to everyone, so they go about their lives. They'll be out in the fields, and that adds to the immersion. So that's great.
Yeah.
Combat's solid for, kind of basic, but solid. It does its job. I wouldn't really say it's the standout, but it is fun to go around and kind of tackle these challenges of where or how you're going to approach, taking out multiple targets. Like, okay, there's a guy that's guarding, overwatching. I got to take him out for a sneak around, and that becomes its own challenge. And then you can double assassinate these two dudes and then work your way to the final boss, right? So that's all good. Where it kind of falls short, unfortunately, is voice acting and story, though. The English voice acting is a little hit or miss, sadly.
Yeah.
A lot of people are recommending listening to it in Japanese.
Yeah.
I heard that the voice and the lip flaps don't match with Japanese, but it's just more authentic that way, because they kind of went with, like when a native person from Japan tries to speak English, they've kind of got like a little bit of a broken English kind of thing going on.
Oh, is that what they did in this?
They kind of did that here, and it's kind of like, I get why you did this, and I don't really know how they could have done it any other way to try to make it so that it feels authentic, because you want to have Asian voice actors for your Japanese game, right?
Speaking English in an Asian accent, essentially.
Right. And so but it comes across a little strange. I don't know how to put my finger on why. Yeah. Because
I get what you're saying. They do that in movies a lot too. When you're watching a movie and it's like, this takes place in France or in Russia, but it's in English and they're just speaking with French accents or Russian accents. And so you're like, okay, now I
Right.
don't have to read subtitles, but also it feels weird.
Yeah, there's something odd about it. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
so that, and it doesn't also help that some of the voice acting just isn't really all that solid. Like it can be really hit or miss. The main character, Nawe, she's okay. She has like good moments. Yasuke, I think actually the voice actor for him does a great job. He's the samurai guy.
Yeah.
He's actually surprisingly one of the better characters in my opinion. I know there's controversy, but the internet likes to make, big deal about everything, but I actually think like the voice actor for his character did pretty good. I'm quite impressed, and his story is at least, interesting. The story itself is pretty standard. Like
Sure.
I wouldn't even really call it a main story. Basically, there is a bunch of masked ninjas people that did something bad to your character, and you now need to go kill all of them.
Yeah.
And so it basically is like mini stories, because you're like, okay, I'm gonna go after this guy, and so you go and you discover what they've been up to and more of what their backstory, and then you take them out, and it's like, all right, cool, now the next one, and it just does that. So it's like mini story, mini, all within the same arc. There's a little bit of overlap, but not really.
It's pretty standard game formula. It's just seems like with a game of that size, maybe have some fun with it,
Yeah.
But no, it's just like, no, big bad guy and his henchmen, go kill them. And you're like, okay,
pretty much.
That it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like it's other games I think do a better job of hiding that it's sort of gamified, because it's very obvious, like, oh, I'm gonna go do another small story here, that's gonna be completely different from what I just did. Because like in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, it's the easiest example, that because it just came out.
Yeah.
You have like an overarching story that does bounce you, and you meet new people and you're discovering new things, but like you're still kind of progressing forward the entire time. You're always kind of going in this direction, and you never know when you kind of slip into a new arc, right? Because it just does it naturally. This is like, no, it's a quest, and you see it on the board, and you're in a new arc because it's a new character, right?
Isn't it weird that, because I mean, like Ubisoft, I feel has kind of set the standard, but also sort of ruined a lot of games because they all follow the Ubisoft like user interface and formulaic. Here's the quest marker, go here, accept the quest, and everything turns into even you could say Assassin's Creed is kind of like a Far Cry game, or maybe Far Cry is like an Assassin's Creed game now. They're all kind of just blending in with the quests and the maps, and all that stuff has become very standardized. And I think because so many devs are afraid of letting gamers get lost, or them not knowing exactly what to do immediately next without some sort of giant quest prompter or something like that, they just make everything very heavy-handed with like, you have completed this objective. Now you will go do this objective. Talk to the man in the village. And there's never a point at which you're like, wow, I wonder what I need to do. Let me like read some stuff from, let me ask around the village or something, and then it's all just sort of like, if you want to, you can just keep running towards the yellow diamond in the distance, and eventually you will complete the quest.
To Ubisoft's credit, they try to do something that is more vague this time around, where you still have a big quest board of like what you can do, and there's a lot of things you can do. It's kind of incredible if you like that Assassin's Creed formula. So you accept a quest, and it'll tell you they're in. If you use the unguided option, you can. If you want all the quest markers, you can do that. But there's an unguided option. Will be like, they are in this region. They are north of this city, next to this temple. But you don't. If you look at your map, you're like, okay, I can see the city. So maybe over here, and they have to go over there and then try and find them. Now it's a little bit. Now that sounds like, oh, you have to explore, kind of. So once you get into that area, you then need to hold down left trigger if you're using the controller, and then you look around, and if you find a blue dot, then you just go to the dot. So it's like kind of like guided, but with extra steps.
Why are games afraid to do take a game that's insanely popular that doesn't do that, like one of the any of the modern Zelda games, where they do have quest markers ish, but a lot of the time it's like, you need to kill find this giant or find the thing that like has, there'll be a riddle or something. And then it'll tell you to go to a region to solve the riddle. But then once you get there, it's a lot of sort of looking around and figuring it out. And
more old school games used to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. But Nintendo still sees huge success following that formula. And maybe it's just because it's a genre difference where like Zelda's more of a puzzle exploration game and Assassin's Creed's more of just an action game that people don't want to have to search. Yeah, but I mean,
because I didn't realize this whole like observe mechanic until I made some really big mistakes. I went into a castle area, like a giant castle with courtyards and everything, and I was looking for a samurai to kill. Yeah. And I spent a goddamn hour looking for a samurai until I learned you could just hold the observe button, and if you were somewhat near, it would then ping them on your screen, the UI element, which made it so much faster to find. There was another moment where I was in a city trying to find a dude, and I was like, I don't know where this guy is at. And then I once again used the observe, and I was like, oh, there he is. He's inside of a random building, because of course he is. He's living his life inside of the building.
Yeah.
Kingdom Come Deliverance, I'm going to go back to it a lot because I really think Kingdom Come, like...
It's a good analogy because these are both kind of feudal, medieval settings and similar concepts of needing to go and do quests and progress your way through the world.
So Kingdom Come Deliverance does what you're describing, where it's like, hey, they're in the city. You got to go find them. And so you go to the city and then you start talking to people. You're like, hey, did you see Albert? Do you know about this guy? He was wearing a red vest, and they'll be like, nah, go away. I don't know you. Yeah. And then he'll go talk to a couple people, and then he'll start to get like breadcrumbs that will guide you towards where that guy is, right? So it does it naturally, and it feels like you're interacting with the world. And in this, you can't do that, right? It's just all in the UI. It's all within the... So I really like how Kingdom Come Deliverance does it. That doesn't mean I think every game needs to do it.
Sure.
But especially for more of that organic experience, man, Kingdom Come just absolutely nails it. Like I've never seen it in a video game before.
Well, it seems sort of like if you're going to have a gigantic open world game like they're doing here, one of the best things you can do in those types of games is have the natural exploration where you get to see a mountain or a light in the distance and you go, huh, what's that? And then you go there and you've unlocked a new quest and you're on some side adventure or whatever. I mean, it seems like you would want to take advantage of that as much as possible if you're going to build this massive world, which you say. And I've seen videos. I haven't played it yet, but I've seen all this stuff, and the graphics really are incredible.
They really are.
I want to know what Ubisoft's doing with their engine because they made some... I don't know what it's running on, but they have their like in-house engine that they just keep upgrading and making more and more impressive. And
I do wish their facial animations and faces look better though, because man, like the environment looks like 10 out of 10, and then the faces is just like, we don't move much, and we don't really look that good.
Yeah,
which is also, it's too bad. They could definitely improve in that regard.
Yeah, facial animations are hard, but
they are.
It's almost less of sure there's tech behind it, but it really is about like artists working with the engineers to like build the right tools for it. Because sometimes the engineers will be like, here's all your tools. And the artists will be like, I can't do anything with this. Cool. Yeah, let's just go.
Yeah.
But it's like, remember when Half-Life 2 is a great example because Half-Life 2, one of the main showcases when that game first came out, and that was many years ago, but they had really good facial animation, some of the best facial animation for its time. And they really spent a lot of time talking about why their characters look so much more lifelike than in other games. And it had to do with eye tracking and all this other stuff, and like really breaking down the science of what makes a character believable. And then you play modern games and they're not even doing the stuff that Half-Life 2 basically wrote the roadmap for them to do. They're like, these Half-Life 2's graphics, they're old, they're dated now, but their characters still feel kind of realistically animated and more believable. And then you see a modern game and just it's all clunky and mechanical, and you're like, oh man, they just had that Half-Life 2 tech, man.
Yep.
Did you play the demo yet?
We had the technology. I have not played it, no.
The Half-Life 2 RTX. It's no. It's impressive, dude. It's impressive what they can do to a 20-plus-year-old game. It's like 21 years old or something now.
Okay.
It looks like a game that came out today, basically. It looks really incredible. The only point at which it breaks down is that it is ultimately the exact same game under the hood. They didn't change anything else about it because it is using the remix tech, which just replaces the lightings and assets. So it'll look incredibly photorealistic, and then you'll go to a ladder and there'll be no climbing animation. And you just kind of do the like up, up, up. I'm at the top, which is the old school way of doing ladders because nobody would animate a ladder because it took too long and, you know, it's just a pain in the butt. Yeah. So those kinds of things kind of bring you back into like, right, this game's 20 plus years old. But if I didn't know that, this is a pretty visually impressive game. And they've got the good character animations and face stuff going on, which is funny because that tech is still the same old tech that they had from 20 years ago, over 20 years ago, but now it's got good, they've got subsurface scattering. So like when light passes through skin, that shows up in game. They have like realistic light passing through translucent objects. It's
wild.
And so the characters look incredible. And the animations, but it's still running on the same old animation tech. So it's pretty impressive where you're like, dang, you know what? It's not always about technology, guys. Sometimes it's about like the art that goes into that technology. If you got modern games that are not holding up to what 20-year-old games did in terms of animation quality and stuff, it's cool. I recommend it. It's buggy. For sure. There's some issues with it. And if you crank all the visuals to the max, you'll lag your computer for sure. It's, they just crank everything to the max. So you're like, ray trace everything. And then you're like, oh wait, that's pretty expensive to do at 4K resolution. Can't actually
do this. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can absolutely bring your computer to its knees, but playing through Ravenholm is not my favorite map. If you remember that one, it's sort of like a very iconic place in Half-Life 2 where you're in this kind of creepy haunted town and the headcrabs have converted everybody into these headcrab zombies and they're all walking around and you don't have a lot of ammo. So you're sort of killing everything with booby traps and stuff. And so it's fun. It's creepy and you get lost and stuck in like dark alleys a lot. But then when you progress to the prison level, they've only got 2 levels in the demo, which is a pretty straightforward action level where you're trying to get out of the prison, but you got those arachnid bugs coming in, breaking in through the floor and like attacking the prison guards. So each situation turns into a thing where you can either fight both or lure them into each other and make them fight each other and then get around. So you have all these fun tools to make them fight each other and then get through the fray. But I mean, playing through it with the high-end graphics, it feels like a modern experience. And you go, dang, the gameplay design in this is so good that it really does hold up today. Like you can't ADS, which again throws you off a bit.
Yep.
Yeah, because you're just kind of hip firing your revolver and it's got like a little bit of a weird spread to it. And you're like, okay, this is a little old school in design, but outside of some of the movement mechanics that feel a little old school, it's cool, man. It's really cool. Like, yeah, it'll take you 2 hours or something to get through the levels that they have there. But it's kind of a master class because they've just updated the graphics and you're like, dang, the gameplay still holds up. It's like really crazy how good that game is.
Nice.
Slide that. You know what I did learn? So I started playing it and the Half-Life 2 default field of view is horrible. It's like 75 FOV or something. And it's like, I started to get sick right away and was like, oh, I forgot that this game makes me super sick. I have to you got to crank your FOV is immediately. But I remember when the game first came out, you had to type it into the command console
to be able to do it.
Yeah. They didn't want you to change your FOV. Because you're supposed
to
be able to...
Back in the olden days.
Yeah, I remember reading a thing and they wanted you to feel more in touch with the characters and the graphics and stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's great, except I'm puking my guts out trying to complete your game over here. It's like console FOV. Remember when all the console games were just like, let's just take your nice peripheral vision and
go back and watch Bad Company 1.
Oh, it's the worst.
It is terrible.
And that plays at 30 FPS, dude.
Yeah.
You're like, this is what people accepted back in the day. Like a pigeonhole FOV and then 30 FPS. And then PC gamers living
just
large.
Awful.
Yeah. Back then you could really like lord it over the console gamers if you were like a PC elitist. You're just like,
not so much anymore.
Yeah, not so much anymore. There's a lot more parity. Well, also the console markets are so big that most devs are optimizing and designing their game for consoles first and foremost. And so whatever you get on PC is sort of like what they optimize for console. And then they just turned on like 2 other graphic settings and they're like, it's better. See? And they're like, yeah.
Though that is changing. There was an article I saw with the headline, Steam accounted for more than half of Monster Hunter Wild's total dollar sales in the United States. So it seems like some companies are starting to realize, maybe we should treat our PC community, with a little bit of respect. Granted, the game launched a little bit rough on PC, so I'm not saying that they hit it at the park, but there's a massive market for PC these days. It's exciting. We talked about this. Not that long ago. There was an era where they're like, PC gaming is dying, and now we're at the point where it's like it's a big market, and it's bigger, I think, than ever.
Yeah, and it's doing so without like what people used to use as the staple for like why PC gaming is so good would be like World of Warcraft or something. These big MMOs. Yep. MMOs are no longer these mega juggernauts that dominate the game scene anymore. It's just other games. It's like battle royales or whatever, But yeah, I think because people are so invested in gaming for the long term, the PC just makes more sense as a long-term investment once you get really serious about it. Because like, yeah, if I buy a game on Steam and as long as I keep my Steam account secure, I mean, I'm going to have that game forever and I'll be able to load it up 10 years later or 20 years later. And like people will just mod it if it's too out of date, right? Like you get those old games on Steam where you're like, oh, this was designed for like Windows XP or something and it doesn't like load up properly. And then you'll just look in the comments or the community section. They'll be like,
now we got you.
Yeah. They'll just be like, download this little file or like enter this into the like INI thing and it'll launch just fine. And so like you don't get that on console as much, and you get other games where like there'll be bugs on console and they'll just be bugged forever. Like the users can't go in and fix it. And so at least on the PC side of things, there's people who are like, okay, like, so it's crashing because anybody who has an NVIDIA card, the driver conflicts with this thing. So I've written some code to like get around that. And then the community fixes it if the devs like lose all their funding and like collapse after launch. And you're like, but I wanted to play that game. Like,
yeah,
there's just so many incentives now. And then plus what the other thing that I just don't get about console stuff is when they like make you pay to use their like online services and all that stuff. And you're just like,
oh yeah, you have to pay Microsoft or Sony to even play their online game. Yeah. It's like, I'm already paying for the internet. You want me to do what now?
Yeah. You're like, this is going to encourage me to buy more games, but you want me to pay us. Yeah. They just do it because they can, because they've got you in a captured market.
Yeah. I think they use their own servers. So it I guess makes some sort of sense because you're using their infrastructure. But
Steam uses their own servers to host their games. They make that money by selling you the game. Like, yeah, it's just silliness. Oh yeah, but maybe does Microsoft use their own servers to host the game? Is that what you're saying? Maybe.
Right. I don't know.
Yeah.
Flimsy argument in my opinion, but what do I know?
Sure. Anyway, long story short, I think for people invested in gaming for the long term, PC makes a lot of sense. But I do also want couch co-op to come back. Now that my son's gaming more, like couch co-op is solid. And
Splitgate. Yeah, not Splitgate. Split Fiction.
Split Fiction. I know. I'm thinking about it. He's still, anytime he gets a moment to game, he wants to just play Beyond All Reason, which is his little Total Annihilation remaster.
Yeah. He's addicted.
He loves it, man. He knows about nuclear weapons now. Because they have nukes in the game, and then he was like, he's like, are nukes? Coolest. Yeah, he's like, are nuclear weapons real? And then we like had a conversation about it, and he's like, what? It's like blew his little mind. Yeah. So that was fun.
Blows my mind. I watched this nuclear test of like in the ocean. You just see the ocean literally come out, like just rise. You're like, this is too much. Also, how many like animals just died in that one test, you know?
I know, the like Bikini Atoll Islands or whatever.
Yeah.
Like they're just like, we don't need these. It's just like they're
what
irradiated.
do you mean?
Yeah. Did you see footage of the Tsar bomb? I think it is. I think that's like one of the biggest that they ever set off. And, you know, the Russians were just like YOLO and just made something like 100 times more powerful than anything. And like it's crazy because the video camera technology they had to record it is so bad. And you're like, you guys shouldn't be building a bomb this big if your video cameras suck this much, you know, like this is just irresponsible.
We didn't really have great technology back then.
Yeah.
It's just like, we're blowing up everything.
Yeah. So you can barely see it, but it's like it's something like the rays or something are messing with the film. So like the colors are all going bananas when the bomb goes off. I wonder if there's like a exclusion zone around where they dropped that bomb. Is that whole area just like completely irradiated for like
ever? I mean, not forever now.
Not forever. They have.
Well, I mean, there's literally
the isotopes have half-lives, right?
They do. Yeah. But like Japan isn't a wasteland. They like people are now living in those cities again. So it's Yeah,
I think they have to like remove all the topsoil and do crazy stuff to like.
You probably have to do a lot of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. It's not completely unmanageable. You just don't want to have all of them go off at the same time.
Yeah, but it does make for some cool video games. I'll tell you that.
It does. Yeah. So I'm glad he's liking it. That's cool.
Yeah.
He's got that itch. I feel like he was like, I remember having that itch when I was younger, where it was like, I just want to play this game, and this game is like resonating with me because it's your first time ever experiencing something like that, and it's just like, oh, your mind just goes crazy for it.
Well, it's a nostalgia trip for me too, because I mean, that's kind of what we grew up on, were like RTS games, you know, like Warcraft, StarCraft, Command and Conquer.
Age of Empires.
Yeah, Age of Empires, Command and Conquer, Total Annihilation. Like, I don't think people realize that like back in our day, like RTS was like the apex of gaming. Like, it really was the coolest thing around. And it was like the battle between StarCraft and Command and Conquer, or Warcraft and Command and Conquer, which one was better, you know? And like, they were all just like a blast to play. And now there's sort of like a novelty, right? It's kind of dominated by the indie market. I can't think of the last time a AAA studio was like, went all in on an RTS other than, I mean, Homeworld, but that was sort of AA-ish, I think.
Yeah, that's not AAA.
Yeah. Granted, I think they spent quite a bit of money on it, but yeah. It's interesting. Anyway, it's fun to watch my son kind of go through the same steps of gaming that I did to some degree. I mean, he's also playing Minecraft too, but you know, you can't escape the Minecraft. There's a new update with it or something coming soon. Pretty exciting.
Probably something small.
Did that movie come out
when they
yet?
have? No, I don't think so. I'm getting commercials for it, so it must be coming out soon.
Yeah.
But my favorite thing about those updates for Minecraft is like, okay, so we can do there's 3 animals. You guys got to vote for one of them, and we're going to put one of them in. It's like, only one of them? Like, you're a multi-billion-dollar company, and all you can do is one little bee? Like, come on.
I think it's become kind of like Counter-Strike in the sense where, like, they make so much money on Counter-Strike, but they're so afraid to change anything because they don't want to upset the magic formula, right?
Right.
And I think that's similar with Minecraft, where they're just like, we don't want to like break the golden formula that is Minecraft. So we're just going to very gently and incrementally change things so slightly, and then wait and see if people get annoyed with it. And on one hand, there's smart
mods everywhere, so you can really change it to however you want. Admittedly. Like, you can do anything. So it's not like it's a big deal, but it is a bit ironic in my opinion, because they make so much money and they're like, we can do like one animal and only one. You guys pick. I think they may have changed that policy though. I think they may now do like a bunch, but it is amusing.
I saw a mod that turned Minecraft into like some sort of stalker looking game, and it looked really good. I was like, dang,
that's cool.
That looks sick. I want to play this. I'll play Minecraft version of Stalker.
Yeah. Yeah.
Be a good fun. Yeah, you're interested now too. You're like, damn, I would play that.
Yeah.
It'd be sick. It's kind of set up for it in a way. Just procedurally generated worlds. Well, now,
right.
Last week, we started the podcast at the beginning of GDC, Game Developer Conference, which happens once a year in San Francisco, and all the big studios come and show off their latest and greatest game tech. This year was kind of a bust. I mean, there was like panels that were like for nerdy stuff, you know, like here's these cool new tools coming in Unreal Engine or whatever, but nothing like sensational for the general public. There was the United Video Game Workers like union. Apparently they announced it there, or maybe they didn't announce it there, but there was an announcement there about it. Seems to be a response to the mass layoffs industry wide to try and protect video game workers across the country. Good sentiment. You know, there's pros and cons with unions and all that fun stuff, but it almost feels like the problem in the game industry is not necessarily I don't know if it's necessarily a company policy, but rather the global economics of the whole industry, because they're seeing layoffs globally, not just in the States.
True.
And then as the rest of the world picks up speed and like, you know, people are developing games in South America for pennies on the dollars now with teams just as talented as you can find anywhere else. These big studios are just like moving their workforces out of the country because if it costs more to live here, you got to pay employees more. And the whole industry is just going, yeah, we're going to run the studio in India now. And that's that global economy, man. I don't know if the unions can do anything to how much they can do to slow it down, but it's sort of the US has kind of gone through it where it's like we used to have a manufacturing industry in like, you know, the 60s and 70s. And then it just all went overseas and we didn't do or enact policies to stop it from happening. And so I'm worried that the same could happen with like tech industry stuff now too. That would really suck.
I don't think that would be because of unions though.
No.
I think that's just because of general
the
general state of things.
No, I'm not saying unions would be responsible. The unions are a response to the mass layoffs, but I
try to protect the mass people that are involved. Yeah.
Trying to protect their employees and stuff. And, you know, I think some good could come from it, but I wonder if it's just sort of it's not really a solution to the
potential Band-Aid fix that isn't going to solve it.
Yeah. I hope that doesn't happen though, but I can absolutely understand that because I know some devs. I know an indie dev. He's self-funding his own game. He's got like a small company and he can afford to pay a few employees, but he can't afford to pay people who works in the States. So he's got 2 like high-level programmers in like, I forgot what country, but it's like a South American country. And he's getting them for like, you know, a third the rate that they would cost over here or in Europe. And it's just like this economic thing. He's like, either I can make my game or I can't. The only way I can make it is if I hire these people who work outside of the country. Otherwise, I have to come up with a new game idea that's way less, you know, not what I want it to be.
It's tricky.
Yep. It's wild. We'll see what happens. I go to a meetup every now and then for game devs locally. And there's all kinds of people there. People who are just getting into the industry and people who have been there for like 40 years. But yeah, another guy there who was like a producer was like, yeah, so like me and this other dude partnered up to make this game and the whole team's in South America, like the entire production company's there. And
wow.
We just, we talk to them online. They're in a relatively similar time zone. And so it all works out. And then, yeah, that's how they make the game. And I'm like, dang.
That's cool.
I mean, it's cool. It's just, it's interesting. The economics of it all. See where we're at in 10 years.
Yeah, well, there might be some growing pains because I'm completely out of my depth. Let's be completely honest. I don't know the state of game development back there, or down there. But a lot of people will criticize game devs for not having a lot of veterans and a lot of, know-how. So if these are new studios in a new industry that's popping up, I mean, at one point our industry was new, and everyone usually back then thinks that was like when the peak of gaming was, right? Because there's all that creativity, new blood coming in. So yeah, it could be great. Could have its own problems though. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope, I mean, obviously we live in the States, so I want game development and those jobs to be good over here. So
Yep.
I hope they are for a long time, but it's hard to see how they're going to compete in the global economy. There's this thing that happens that it's like one of those clickbaity videos that I can't avoid. You know how there's always, it's a clickbait, and just sometimes you click on it. And you're like, I just want to see what the guy's going to say. I just want to know. I know it's going to be stupid. I'm going to disagree.
What did you click on, Level?
So there's lots of videos that come up, and every now and then one will make it to like the top of our gaming or something like that. And it'll be like Unreal Engine 5 is ruining video games or ruining the game industry. You've probably heard similar stuff like that where they go, oh man, all these poorly unoptimized games run on Unreal Engine 5. Therefore, Unreal Engine 5 is the culprit.
Which there could be some validity to that.
There could be, if every engine didn't have its problems, and you could launch an unoptimized game in just about every engine. Yeah.
Humans are really good at recognizing trends, right? And patterns. We're very good at pattern recognition. And a lot of people are noticing the pattern that when a Unreal 5 game comes out, it can have some performance problems. So I don't think that it's necessarily just the engine's fault. I think there's probably some growing pains because it's new, but there has seemingly been a trend.
Yeah.
But continue.
I will, you know what? And I'm going to defend this guy for half a second too, because this was my big misconception starting up Unreal Engine 5 for the first time. I had seen all the marketing videos on what it can do. And there's this sort of unspoken thing that you figure out later in the industry is, one, the marketing videos are all like promoting super beta early tech that may or may not ever make it into a finalized state that is fully production ready. Like they marketed this cool material system a while back called Substrate, and it's still in a beta phase. Like, and they say not production ready, don't use it. So you could watch the video and be like all excited to use it, and then load up the engine and be like, this is super buggy and unstable, and I can't use this at all in a production environment. So there's that angle of it, which is like, it's very fun to market features before they're ready and sort of show the ideas behind them, and kind of paint a picture of what the future looks like. But the other side of it is that Unreal Engine 5, up until like a year ago, was more or less free to use as video production software. So people were using it in CGI to make full movies, productions, commercials, everything. Like, it's an incredible piece of render software and animation software. And it can now do everything that more or less Maya or 3D Studio Max or any of the high-end 3D softwares can do. And it can do a lot of it better because it has incredible real-time rendering tech, much better than the other softwares. And so they use it for like visual. I think they're using it for like some of the Star Wars movies to like in real time visualize the environments and project them around the actors and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's become kind of an industry standard thing. Epic just started charging for it like a year ago, and everybody's like, "Oh crap! Like we've trained a whole industry to use this software, and now it costs money." And Epic's like, "You fell into our plan." But long story, the roundabout thing that I'm trying to say here is a lot of these really cool pieces of tech that everybody's like, this is going to change gaming. It wasn't maybe designed for gaming. Like a lot of it, I think, was designed for the film industry.
The film industry. Interesting.
Yeah. So while you might look at something like, say, Nanite and go, that is incredible what kind of performance they're able to get out of it. That is immediately useful to the film industry. And I've talked to guys in who work in commercials and use Unreal Engine to do it. And they're like, this is game changing for us. This is huge. We can take any asset with any polygons. You can make an environment
instantly, right?
Yeah. We don't have to optimize anything. We don't have to like low poly this stuff so it renders in a decent time frame. We can just chuck all this stuff in there. And then on the game side, and like kind of naively, I don't even know why I didn't think about this because I grew up doing 3D stuff. I should have known it. If you take a massive asset that's like got billions of polygons or millions of polygons,
Yeah.
regardless of how fast that can render an engine, the file size for that asset is huge.
It's humongous, right?
So not only does it take up install size for the game, but it takes up a memory footprint for the game as well. And so while the engine can run it at an impressively, like at an impressive rate, you're creating this massive unnecessary footprint for your game in many regards. And so it becomes a very uneconomical way to build a game versus making a scene for film, because you don't really care about file sizes and memory if you're rendering out a video sequence.
So it sounds like you're making this case for this guy's clickbait. Sounds like it wasn't so very clickbaity.
So here's
you
the
haven't
counter.
Really told us what the premise is. So,
here's the counter argument.
Video.
Here's the counter argument to that. Some experience.
First of all, what was his premise? What was the premise of this video that you mentioned? That this clickbait video.
It was basically that the game engine was poorly made and unoptimized, and all these game developers are using it, and all the games that come out are poorly optimized and run like crap on their systems.
Okay. All right.
The counter argument to that is just that I feel like so many of these studios are being run kind of top down in a way where the people at the top who maybe don't know the tech are like, nanite, lumen, all the cool crap.
Put it in there.
Turn it on, put it in there. And the devs are like, this actually might not be the best solution. Like, we could probably make it work, but it'd be really nice to have a fallback plan or use some of the legacy tech that still is in the engine and still works and is performant. So there's a lot of ways to make it performant. And on top of that, like Unreal Engine 5 has mobile settings. Like you can make a game for your phone using UE5. So like the argument that there's like this insane footprint for the engine no matter what is silly. It's just that people are using this tech, and I think it's sort of being driven by the marketability of the insane visuals, and then getting to a point in development where they're like, oh, wait, we can't optimize this. Maybe we should have done more research at the start to decide whether or not we could optimize this crazy render tech. So
thankfully, I've been playing a lot of games that haven't had optimization problems.
Yeah.
Back to Assassin's Creed, runs like really well. Like it seems to be running great. So thankfully, some devs seem to be getting their act together, at least when it comes to optimization.
Yeah. And it's a easy thing you could see somebody falling into, right? Small team gets all excited about all these big flashy tools, jump in, they're 2 years into production, and by the time they realize they can't get the frame rate under control, and they're like, what's the backup plan? There is no backup plan. We don't have one. Whoops. Yeah. So it's fun to get started, and it's boring to do all the tests at the start and be like, okay, let's see where we can actually push this tech and test all the min-max situations for our game, because that's what you should be doing to make
early
sure
on.
Yeah, before you adopt a giant piece of tech and work it into everything, you go, okay, can we get this running on the platforms we want? If the answer is no, find a different solution,
Yeah.
Right.
Makes sense.
Yep. I've turned on Lumen in my game now, and oh man, I know, it looks nice.
It looks great. Yeah. You told us. I'm sure it does.
Did you see the trailer for PVC Firebreak?
I did. The control game, right?
Yeah. Doesn't it look wild?
Yeah, it looks cool.
I don't know what to make of it, but
I don't either.
Yeah. So like Remedy's pretty well known for doing their like narrative games and story driven. And this is like a 3-player co-op, and you're fighting Post-it note monsters.
Yep.
In this,
well, the whole thing. Have you played Control at all?
No, I've watched the stuff, but no, I haven't played.
It's like the SCP. Is that the right term? Is that the right
FBC? Acronym? Or no, maybe you're right. I don't know. It's like
it's basically anomalies.
Yeah,
you're going in and they're like it's a place where there's a lot of crazy stuff. They've got them like kind of locked away, and then they get out. And so you interact with a bunch of anomalies. And so I think they're taking those anomalies and turning it into like a co-op shooter where you need to overcome hordes of whatever. And there's going to be some really cool sci-fi interaction, like a giant post-it note, like kind of Sandman looking dude.
Yeah.
It looks really cool. It looks neat. And I hope they've got a ton of variety and they just let loose with their creativity.
I think there's a market for those fun co-op games where it's like everybody work together to beat this level or whatever. Yep. And we're going to throw all this crazy zany stuff at you. Like, it seems fun. A lot of them go the really hardcore route and like make it super challenging. And this one just looks more lighthearted. And that could be an enjoyable change of pace as opposed to getting like smashed in GTFO or something like that. Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, it's Remedy and they've made great games. I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
I'm excited about any studio announcing a new idea, something that they haven't done before, you know, not the next Assassin's Creed game, but something new that they haven't tried.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed, the Smash Bros spin-off side scroller. I don't know.
You got it.
Yeah.
I did play a game that was quite unique. Have you heard of Neighbor Suburban Warfare?
No, but that actually, I like the name.
It's definitely, so they had a play test this weekend.
Yeah.
And think of it like, so you got your house and you got the other player's house, your neighbor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's your job to get into their house and destroy their stuff.
Breaking and entering.
Objectives. Pretty much, yeah.
So you're just
they have
criminal at this point. You're just straight up.
So it's 4v4.
Okay.
It is a team-based shooter. Not really. There's like, it's more melee focused. But
yeah, okay.
You basically accumulate. So the objective is you got to go in, you got to take out their four different pieces of furniture: a bed, an oven, and then two others.
Why do you hate your neighbors so much? Like, what's going on?
I don't know why. I don't know why you do, but apparently you just hate them. So you get a wide cast of characters to choose from that all play a little bit differently. Like you can play a grandma who's got boxing gloves and just starts punching people. There's a guy with a vacuum cleaner who can like suck people over fences and stuff like that. So they've got like a little unique cast, and it's kind of like it's economy based in some ways. Where it's sort of like a MOBA, not really a MOBA. That doesn't really do it justice in terms of its description, but you kind of have to strategize. It's like, okay, we need some people on defense. We need some people on offense, right? And kind of blend that together to find a way inside by breaking down their doors, all the while they're repairing those things and then putting down traps. And you got to try to sneak in or go just like full all in and just destroy all of their stuff. It's a unique little game.
I want to be there for the elevator pitch for this game. And like,
yeah.
So you're neighbors and you just break into each other's house and smash all their stuff.
Smash their stuff. Exactly. Yeah. It's definitely bizarre. It's cute, but man, it can snowball so fast. I was on a team that wasn't very good because it's a beta. People don't really know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And then we went against a team that knew what they were doing. And they got into our house and started destroying our stuff, like one of the key objectives within like the first minute or 30 seconds. And I legitimately thought they were cheating because I was like, the concept of the game is you've got a fence on the outside that protects you. Then they've got the doors of the house or windows. And then you've got the objectives inside. I'm like, how did they get through all of that to get inside already?
Yeah.
Within like the first 30 seconds. And people are like, no, they did like kind of they just knew the map better. And they were able to like jump from another building to your building. And that's, you suck, right? And I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
So there is a really big skill discrepancy between new players and advanced players because they will absolutely
You just got dunked on by some Diamond League suburban neighbor warfare guys,
Yeah. They have a currency that you need to grab at like a construction site, which is just adjacent to both of the houses. And if your team doesn't get any of them and they get all of it, they straight up just have like a massive advantage. You buy tools and things, and traps and stuff, but it's tier based. So if you only have one of that currency, your team doesn't really have a lot of things to buy, even if you have a lot of money. But the other team could straight up have everything and they just come in with a jackhammer and just destroy everything that you have. And there's nothing you can do about it. Like at that point, they've just won.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, this is not.
They won you through the economy game.
Right. Know? But they won within like the first 5 minutes because they were so far ahead. And you're like, this wasn't even close. So it's got some balance, and maybe they just need to have a better matchmaking when more people are playing, you know, so that you can pair people with the right skill. Yeah. But it was a unique game. It's definitely different.
That's bizarre. When you first said the name, I thought it was going to be something where it's like, you know, your neighbor buys a nice car, so you got to buy a nice car. And
yeah,
then, like,
there you go.
He throws a big backyard party, so you got to throw a bigger backyard party. He buys a new
make
grill.
For a fun game.
Yeah,
it's just like petty things that you do. Like
he's got the new.
You leave your dog poop on the front yard, you know, the front yard of your neighbor.
Yeah,
you know, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. TP his house at night, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Paintball it. Yeah, I thought that's what is going to be, some sort of just ultra vain game, but this is just like straight up just smash your neighbor's house for whatever reason.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
okay. Well, that's an oddity. Is that just sort of like what's hot on Twitch right now type game?
No.
You just found it.
I just found it and I thought it was cool, so I played it.
Yeah. You got dunked on by those diamond leagues.
I did get dunked on from time to time. Yes, I did.
Yeah.
But it was fun. I'm going to keep my eye on it. I don't have like high hopes, but it could be a fun little game to play when it releases, when it's more balanced and tighter.
Yeah. You don't think it's going to take on Counter-Strike?
I probably will not take on Counter-Strike, no.
Right.
If I had to take a guess.
Yeah.
But I've been wrong about many things. I said Battlefield 1 before we knew it was called Battlefield 1. I did say it wasn't going to be a World War I game, and boy, I was wrong.
I don't remember that, but that's funny that I'm sure that
I made a video specifically describing like how a World War I game would like have a ton of problems, like weapon balance and weapon variety wouldn't be there, and trench warfare would get really repetitive because that's what World War I was. It was a lot of trench warfare. And then the game came out and I was like, wow, I'm an idiot. I was completely wrong. And I think I put like a comment in that video too, like I was wrong. Yeah. So
in your defense, I
was right in a lot of ways. But continue.
Yeah, because what are the Verdun games? Those ones do World War I more realistically, and the pacing of them is incredibly slow, and the combat is very different, and everybody has a bolt-action rifle and like nothing else. And then,
as that's what they had, right? Yeah. They didn't have the Hellriegel, which was like never actually used.
And tanks were only involved in a very specific and limited number of battles, and it was all you weren't driving around with there weren't biplanes everywhere and tanks all over the place and cavalry and. Yeah, they made the most fantastical version of World War I.
Battlefield 1 is a really good example of gamers who say they want a game to be realistic when in reality they want a game that feels authentic, right? Like it feels like, you know, like it's set during World War I, right? Like it feels like it, but it's not. Like it's clearly
not even remote.
Very fantastical, right? But it's still a fun game, right?
Yeah, you got a Zeppelin exploding overhead and crashing onto the battlefield.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
I know. I'm totally fine with all that, by the way, because that Battlefield was never really about historical accuracy. You know, they used the battles from history, and then even in 1942, people are like, riding on the wings of airplanes and shooting machine guns at people on the ground. And that wasn't necessarily intentional, but it became kind of the meme and the fun part of the game. And they just went with it, you know? And so that always has been like a component of it. So it's nice. I hope the next game sticks with it.
And admittedly, if they did go for the realistic route, people would have been bored of it. Like, I don't care what anyone says. Yeah. Like, if it was just bolt actions and only bolt actions and it was mainly trench warfare, like that, it would still have an audience, but it wouldn't be a Battlefield game.
Right? The game exists, right? You have the realistic World War I game, and you also have the realistic World War II games, and they're not as popular as the...
Yeah, it would still there would have been an audience, but it's still a Battlefield game. They want to appeal to a large market.
Yeah.
So
There's just there's a divide, a Venn diagram that does not overlap of either realism and then like good gameplay pacing. And you're just like, you can't have them both, guys. Like you got to pick one or the other. And like, I guess they do overlap. And in the middle, you get like the sweet spot.
You kind of get your hell let looses that try to like have a little bit more of a balance between the two, where it's not just a 500-kilometer map. Right.
Yeah. Did you play that map, by the way, the one I recommended?
No, I thought about it, but no, I didn't.
It's impressive from a spectacle, but yeah, after a while, you're just like, what am I even doing? Like I'm just LARPing the Battle of Iwo Jima at this point, and I die in the Battle of Iwo Jima. That's what happens. Yeah.
You would, yeah, exactly. That's what.
Guess what?
Exactly
Pushing
what
up that beach with no cover, and then like trying to make it miles and miles onto the hill. You're just like, forget it. You're dead. Yeah.
100%.
So what's Repo? Tell me about Repo.
I see the notes. I see you see my notes.
I can read.
Repo is one of those Twitch games that people were kind of getting into. It's a lot like Lethal Company. Do you remember Lethal Company?
Mm-hmm.
Where you go in and there's like some crazy, creepy stuff that's happening, and you need to find resources or find things that you can then sell and make it out alive. And it's basically just that. The twist on it is that you're going in and you are repossessing stuff. I'm assuming repo. And
it's not like the Repo Man thing where they're repossessing organs and stuff from people.
No. Yeah. But you have this device that allows you to lift things up. And the twist on it is that you're not just trying to find stuff, but you're trying to do it in a way that doesn't destroy the thing that you're repossessing.
Yeah.
Right? So you put into a cart. Some things will be incredibly fragile and valuable, where if they touch anything, they'll shatter and break. So you got to make sure that you place it into your cart, carefully. And then you got to bring that cart to a place that will suck all of it up, and then you'll get money for it.
Yeah.
And that money, by the end, if you're able to not die to all of the anomalies and crazy things that are in the map, you can then use that money to buy upgrades, either to give yourself more stamina or more strength.
The setting of this game? Where are you, and what?
You're in just creepy like mansions, castles, things like that. It's very low. I couldn't really say what era. It's the themes are a little bit all over the place in some ways. It's because you're in like a car and then you like slam into a building, so it's definitely like futuristic, or at least futuristic enough where you have a car. But then the thematics of it, I don't know. I don't know the era. The setting is definitely a little all over. But it's cute. It's charming in its own ways. It can be really fun when all of a sudden you notice a guy with a shotgun behind you. And if you make a noise, he'll hear you and shoot you. But if you don't make a noise, you can kind of creep by. But then you'll get scared by something else, and your teammate will be like, "Oh no!" And then all of a sudden you just hear blam.
Yeah.
And then nothing because your teammate died, right?
So do they do the Lethal Company thing where like you can hear them on the mic and then it cuts out when they're like getting chomped and stuff like that?
Yeah. And it also will change sometimes it like the thing that is attacking you will change your audio. Mm-hmm. So like there's this eye that will like stare at you, and you have to try and get away, break line of sight from it, but you're always staring at the eye, so you can't see what's behind you, which could be a pit, right? And so you try to have to break line of sight. All the while you're screaming at your teammates like, "Oh, the eye, guide me!" But it's changing your voice, so it's really high pitched, and sounds different. Yeah, nice. So it's cute.
It's adorable. I like that. Yeah, I'm glad that Lethal Company sort of cracked the nut on that like concept of like, here's how to make goofy horror games fun with your friends. Yeah. Just hearing your friends die horrifically somewhere, and you're like, wow, we're like in a horror movie right now. This is great.
Mm-hmm.
Solid.
It's neat. I'm excited to see where it goes. I think it's also in early access alongside Lethal Company. Both those games, I want to know where they go because they're cool. It's a unique genre. It's a fun genre, and it just kind of expands upon it in its own unique way. It doesn't do anything like vastly different, so it is definitely kind of copying from something else, but in a unique enough way where it feels like a different game.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair. That's what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Lethal Company was so successful, and I think that was one guy who made it, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And
to my understanding,
it like exploded. So it's only a matter of time before all the
other companies are like, ooh.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's already
Ooh.
a ton of clones that came out right after it, but you know, you get a whole bunch of garbage games that come out quickly to try and capitalize, and then it takes a little while for the good clones to come out, where somebody spends a little bit of time and thinks like, how could I make this better? You know?
Yeah. I hear
Takes
you.
longer. Yeah. Well, that's cool, man. Yeah, I didn't play too much new stuff. I played Half-Life 2 RTX, played the final season 6, which is cool. And then I've been watching BoJack Horseman a bit, which is
Here's depressing.
Yep. It's actually amazingly dark, where I enjoy it, but most other shows that go as dark as this one does, I kind of tap out, you know, be like, this is too dark and sad.
It's too much.
And this show just keeps getting darker and darker, but also it's still really funny and enjoyable somehow. So you're just like, this is impressive that they've managed to like...
They've been able to walk that line.
Yeah, I think it's like they've challenged themselves to see how dark they could get while still keeping you around as a viewer. They're like, just keep going darker. And you're just like, my God, man.
Yeah.
So that's impressive. I've been enjoying that.
Did we talk about Severance? I finished Severance season 2.
I don't know if you mentioned whether you had finished it or not.
Well, it's over for season 2, and what an episode. What an episode.
You like or no like?
Loved it.
Yeah?
Loved it.
Okay.
Absolutely loved it. Yeah.
Dude, it's been, I've heard either people love it or they hate it. Like I haven't
That's
heard.
fair.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything in between, which I'm like, okay. I don't know what to expect now. So now that it's over, I'm going to try it.
It's the weirdest. I think one of my favorite characters is Milkshake. He is the best. That actor absolutely kills it. He has a performance in the final episode that is just like, I don't want to say anything because it's a spoiler, right? Because anything, but he does a great job.
He had some moments in the first season too that were pretty funny.
Yeah. So he does an exceptional job here, and it's just the show is it's weird, but I'm fascinated by it, and I can't wait for season 3. I don't know. I know where they're gonna go with it in some ways, but yeah, it's just a fun ride that I don't know where it's going, but I'm happy to be along for the ride.
Yeah.
A very pleasant surprise. Wheel of Time. You may have heard bad things about that show.
Well, you know my opinion on that show, but I haven't. They're on season 3 now. Is that right?
They're on season 3. Yeah. Season 1 sucked. Let's be honest. It wasn't very good.
Yeah.
It wasn't great.
I stopped.
Season 2?
It's season 1. Yeah.
Season 2, much better. Much better.
Okay.
Season 3, episode 4, I literally sat to the end. I was like, is this finally like a show now?
Yeah.
Like, have we made it? Like, I was like, damn, that was actually like almost like, I was like, I want more. Hell yes, let's keep going. So it feels like it's finding its stride, and it feels like it's starting to like go in a good direction with like their themes and setting and their characters. So
I mean, it's based on the
crossed.
Have you read the books?
I have read the books, but I don't remember like anything from them.
Okay.
I read, like vague themes and stuff. Yeah.
Because I was gonna say like, are they following the narrative or not? But
so that's the thing, is that they just were in an area where, according to book readers, they followed it almost to the letter. And lo and behold, it was like one of the best episodes that they've ever done, if not the best episode.
Who would have thunk that these young TV writers aren't better than like, you know, these veteran
based on
authors who made best-selling books? They're like, we'll do it better. It's like, actually, you won't. What do you think of that?
Yeah. It gave some of the actors a way to show their acting chops, which was nice. So
all those characters were so boring in season 1. Like I don't remember anything interesting about any of the characters from the first season. So
you know, the main character Rand, I always felt like he kind of came off a little rough.
Yeah.
He's finally getting a little bit more room to grow and like show that he's an actor. And it was like, hey, look at that. He's actually, decent. I still am not like 100% sold on the actor, but he's doing good. He's doing better.
Yeah.
And so I really liked episode 4. I'm not going to sit here and say like it's the next best thing ever and you got to watch it because man, season one is rough.
I mean, I'm surprised they're sticking with it because if it was like a Netflix show, they would have canceled it, right?
Oh, they would have canceled it immediately. Yeah,
Amazon's kind of sticking with stuff. Like they're sticking with the Lord of the Rings thing, and you're just like, okay.
Yeah, I still haven't watched the second season of it.
I haven't either. Well, I saw like people just lolling at it when it came out, and I was like, yeah I'll skip it. Like I didn't enjoy the first season, so.
Mm-hmm.
What are the odds that the second one's gonna slap somehow?
Right?
Yeah, you're just watching it destroy your favorite universe essentially.
It's basically like a fanfic at this point because it kind of is. They don't have the rights to everything in the Lord of the. That's what's so weird is that they don't have the rights to everything, and so they kind of have to actually make up their own stories. It's strange.
Yeah, well, also they don't have. I mean, they have the Silmarillion or whatever, but that's not like a comprehensive guide to everything in Lord of the Rings.
Right.
So they just don't have all of the. So they kind of get to make it up because they don't have that info. I think I've gotten tired of watching my favorite IPs from my childhood get absolutely destroyed by money hungry companies. Like Star Wars was like painful for me, and Star Trek has been all over the place. So I'm just like, okay, the shows are so bad now. And I'm just like, all right, the golden years are over for my favorite IPs. And then it's like Lord of the Rings. All right. I don't think I can sit and watch them tarnish another one, but Cowboy Bebop. Oh God, the pain. Did you watch that one?
Yeah. I forgot they made that live action.
That was
never watched it.
Yeah. You're better off, man. Just don't.
I probably am.
No. Yeah.
So pleasantly surprised with Wheel of Time season 3.
I'll check it out.
Sit here and, like I said, act like it's the next big thing. But it's nice to have a decent fantasy show. Decent. Mm-hmm. Hopefully, if they can continue on with the quality of episode 4 and that extends throughout the the rest of the season, it could be a legitimately solid fantasy now, which I'm all for.
Yeah. If you want a recommendation for a family-friendly kick back and relax evening, the Real Bugs Life on Disney is fun.
Okay.
Have you seen any of that or any commercials for it?
No, I've not.
It's basically
a Real Bugs Life. Is it like an actual bugs? Like is it like a documentary series?
Yeah. So it's like, I don't know if it's National Geographic or something, but they have these cameras. The whole show, I'm just going, how did they get this footage? Like every episode, I'm just like, how did they do this?
How'd they do that? Is it like inside of colonies? And it's like, how did you even get there without disturbing the colony?
Yeah, apparently they showed and people hadn't seen this before, but it was like cockroach eggs and mating and all this weird stuff. And they're like, nobody's filmed this before or whatever.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. They just get crazy shots of stuff where the camera's just like, it's like a spider that's like that big, but it's full 4K on your TV. Right. And you're like, what camera tech do you guys have? I feel like you feel like you are the size of the bugs living in their world.
Yeah.
That's
incredible.
It's well done. The kids love it, and it's entertaining. It's written with a lot of little comedy bits in there. Surprising amount of adult humor that's hidden in there.
It goes over their head.
Yeah, completely over the kids' heads, and then I'll glance at Natalie or something, and I'll be like, "Wow, I can't believe they put that joke in there." You'll get this in 20 years, guys.
You'll get this. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's fun for the whole family.
Right on.
Impressive camera tech that I'm still just I don't know how they did it. Cause as soon as I watched season 1, they're on season 2 now. I was Googling, did they CGI this stuff? And they're like, no, there's almost no CGI in the whole thing. And I'm like, okay, what's going on here? There's just people with micro cameras hanging out in a colony for months or something. I just don't get it. But
it reminds me of that Planet Earth. I think it was Planet Earth, where there's these lizards that get born and then they have to cross through like this snake infested.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And I'm like, the fact that you even caught this and it turned into like this epic like struggle of this one lizard somehow like making his way through this gauntlet, and he almost gets caught at the end, and somehow I'm like, this was like a movie.
Yeah.
And it was just this lizard's life within like, he just like was born. Like, this is nuts.
It's one of the
like,
best action sequences I've seen.
Punching people.
Yeah.
You know?
I know. You're like, you think life is hard for us, man. These guys are like, you are born into snake-infested deserts, and also like sprinter snakes. Screw those things. Like, just these really long, narrow snakes that can move at like 20 miles an hour or something, and like, and there's hundreds of them, and then like the lizard moves, and like 50 heads pop up like this, and they're just like staring at it, and then they all go after it.
Terrifying.
I know. You're like, you're born into the lowest like survival odds ever, and your death is going to be the worst death imaginable, eaten alive by like hundreds of snakes.
Yep.
I can't think of anything worse. Yeah, no, that's the worst thing. Yeah.
Fascinating.
It is, man. Dude. Well, my son got this book from the library that's just like basically you open it up and it's like, here's an anaconda and here's a gorilla. Here's what would happen if they fought, and he like loves it. And so it's just like reading through like a royal.
Who would win?
Actually don't remember that one. Maybe the gorilla.
I would have assumed the gorilla, but
probably gorilla.
The anaconda, you know, if they get around you, you know, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But a gorilla just has so much strength.
Right? So you start debating it, and I'm like arguing with my 7-year-old son, like, no way, dude. Like, the boar would definitely get the cheetah. And he's like, I don't know. A cheetah's pretty fast. And we're like arguing.
Yeah.
You know, I just find it funny that I was sucked into this thing. I'm like, nah, for sure the anteater's going down, dude. They don't have any weapons, you know.
It's good.
It's a good way to learn about animals. I'm learning facts, man.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, what you playing tonight for the stream?
Well, I might try to finish off Assassin's Creed. I think I'm getting close to the end, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I am enjoying it. I like, it's got its problems. It definitely has issues, but it's kind of the best analogy I heard was from Dan's Gaming, where it's like, it's a burger from McDonald's, you know, you like it. It's comfortable, but you know, it's not the best burger. You know, you could probably get a burger that's of the same price that's going to be better and, you know, more nutritious and not be as bad for you. But you like it because it's a burger that you've enjoyed your entire life. That's kind of what Assassin's Creed is, right? Like,
it's kind of what AAA gaming is in general.
Yeah. It may not be the best. It might have some problems, but it is delicious, and a lot of people enjoy it for the what it does well, right? So, I am enjoying it.
Now I want a burger.
You know, with those issues. Now I want a burger.
I don't want to play Assassin's Creed. I want to go get a hamburger.
Yeah, so I'd like to finish that up, but there's a lot of new games that just released today. There's Atomfall. There's the first Berserker Kazan. There's some other like smaller indie games there. Yeah, so I got some choices. I do.
Yeah, I know this is not the same Berserker, but I saw like a little post somewhere, maybe on Reddit, where somebody made a life-size replica of Guts' sword from the Berserker anime, and it's like 20 feet long or something.
Yeah,
it's just really funny. The guy's like trying to hold it. I'm like, is that actually to scale what his sword was? It's like the size of a limousine. It's insane. Yeah. Very funny. So yeah, they brought that to like a cosplay con. I'm like, yeah, you can't even get it in the building, man. It's insane.
Yeah.
Good times. That's a great anime if you just want something dumb and full of gore.
Just not the newer ones.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen the newer ones. Not good.
The CGI one is, I watched the entire thing because I was so morbidly curious of like how bad it could be, and it was bad. It was bad.
That's how I'm dancing around the Netflix Gundam movie or show, whatever it was. People say it's absolute trash, but I'm like, yeah, but kind of looks
Gundam.
cool. Kind of looks
Gundam,
neat.
though.
I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch it one day. I'm going to put it on and be like, oh, that was terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is what Gundam is, though. Most of it's absolute garbage, but man, the gems are incredible. It's like so many shows nowadays where you're like, this is my favorite IP. Or it's like, you could say it about Star Wars or Star Trek or whatever. It's all just like, the good stuff is incredible, but there's a lot of junk you might have to
There's
get
a lot
through.
of junk.
Yeah.
Lot of junk out there.
Yep. All right. Shall we, you want to wrap it up there?
Sounds good.
Okay. Well, once again, everybody, thank you for joining us with the Level With Me podcast. We appreciate you very much. And if you want to come by and hang out for the live streams that we record on Mondays, check out our Patreon in the video description. Otherwise, Matt is going to leave you with some incredibly useful life advice.
Okay, so if you do find yourself in a situation where you're trying to find a particular samurai in a giant castle, okay, so instead of running around like an idiot for an entire hour, like, some people I know, me, use the observe button and look for the white dot.
Mm-hmm.
God damn it. I was so frustrated, Level Cap. I cannot describe to you. I was so upset finding this stupid samurai.
I'm upset knowing that this is a game mechanic because this is such a Ubisoft trash game mechanic of like, go to the place, now hit the button to find the thing. Like, what the hell kind of gameplay is that?
Yeah. It's
literally
a quest marker with extra steps. That
God.
was just not needed, right? Yeah.
Yeah. It's just pissing on like the concept of like an actual open world exploration game. They're like, it's open world. You're like, yeah, but you're just showing me where to go and what to do the whole way. It's you're taking all the fun out of it.
And I get why they did it because it's so big. And if it wasn't there, like it would be a needle in a haystack all the time. So I get why it's there, but it's because it's just such a giant game and it's just so vast.
At that point, you got to ask, why is the size of the game serving us beneficially?
I agree.
Because you're like, I think we just increased the workload 50% just for some spectacle. Yes. Otherwise, it probably took away from the pacing and gameplay to an extent. They're like, now we have to create a tool so people can find crap. We have to make Google Maps for the game so that players don't get lost forever and hate this game.
Yeah. So my advice is to use the observation tools available to you and don't be like me and stupid.
All right. Thank you, Matt. Well, let's get to the post-podcast show where I will give you all the deets on Formula One.
Oh, baby.
Oh, baby. Thank you, everybody, for dropping by, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Take care.